In 1984, a young lad by the name of Steve Jobs has introduced us one of the finest products in the history to the audience that would change the way people perceive personal computer and their lives forever. The Macintosh.
Hello, I am Macintosh. It sure is great to get out of that bag.
Unlike earlier personal computers, Macintosh would revolutionize the way humans interact with the machine. It was graphical, rich with features, great at crunching numbers, and sleek. It was the future of computing, unlike all the non-graphical operating systems like DOS, which was leading towards merely sweaty, greasy nerds and tech-wage workers. And unlike their competitor, Microsoft, which went bankrupt due to their inability to innovate.
Okay, enough of circle jerking. I know that Macintosh wasn't the first computer with a graphical operating system. That honor actually went to the Xerox Alto. I know that Microsoft is still around, making their operating system as bolded as they can. Well, at least they are consistent at that. And I know that Steve Jobs wasn't a genius inventor. He was a businessman and a huge dick. Just go read his biography. Anyway, a word to attention from what I said, and take in a little bit of history lesson. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this model design if you are in the vaporwave scenes for too long. The truth here is this design was used in many classic variations. 128K, 512K, System Expansion, Past Classic, and Classic 2. The rest of the Classic era lineup is either a hit or a whack. What do they run on? Well, Mac OS, duh, but that was partially correct. The classic operating system lineup on the Macintosh was referred to as the system software. This was up until System 7.5, where its system naming scheme was dropped, then replaced it with Mac OS instead, starting at version 7.6. This is due to a big bang in development, where the CPU architecture has slowly shifted away from Motorola 68K to PowerPC. The last famous version that still keeps the spirit of system software and its Motorola CPU is System 6. Irony enough, System 6 was considered as a buggy mess due to many compatibility issues. It quickly went into full maintenance mode, then went just almost stable in version 6.0.2, and finally stable again in version 6.0.8. So about the title, oh yeah, you are here for the video games. Yes, the gaming scene on the classic Macintosh. I have no data about this, but thanks to the website Macintosh Garden, I can say they were somewhat popular. A particular kind of games I have taken interest in is those that were made using a program called World Builder, a program for creating interactive fiction games developed by Silicon Beach Software. The World Builder itself was a very early iteration of a video game engine. A simple premise of it was to easily create interactive games consisting of the graphics which can be interacted with by using your cursor, and the narration dialog box which also serves as commands input too. This is significantly an improvement in the genre when compared to other adventure games in those days, where most of them were purely text-based and required 90 pages of a manual to enjoy. To put it nicely, this revelates how much of dog shit the genre really was.
You try to put in Frodo the pipe weave, but you this is just fucking stupid.
The name sounded like a B-tier horror movie. You are a residential assistant, or RA for short, for the third floor in the Tower Dome of Drexel University. Your job is to keep the order intact using any means necessary and report back in one piece with the room condition report too. By that means necessary, I meant using the incredible violence that causes and solutions to all problems. After subduing some rogue residents, took their weapons and talked to the Killer Mag, I found out I was stuck behind the energy force field wall thingy, and the door to the kitchen was locked too. It was until later I found out you have to use the phaser to destroy the force field wall. The logic behind it? A Star Trek reference? Later, I found a room that was blasting loud rock music, a clear violation for sure, so I turned it off by using my M16 I recorded earlier. Fuck it, let's just use M16 to destroy these things.
God damn.
Yeah, that would show them for sure. Shortly after, I walked into the fire escape stairs, which were barricaded by trash to prevent anyone from going down. By a dumb luck or something, I found a key inside the pie from using the search command. Then I remembered that the kitchen door was locked, so I headed back there. Using the key I acquired, I unlocked the door and found the report. Good. Now all I needed to do was to bring it back to the office on the first floor. So I called it upon the elevator realistically. By that realistic, I meant I had to wait until it arrived. And once I arrived at the first floor, I encountered a filthy rent-collecting enforcer. Too bad it wasn't much of a challenge after I deleted her out of the system using the phaser. And at last, I earned the key by bringing that report to the office with little to no injuries. Yes, I murdered 6 people in the name of the Tower Dome, good sir. This game felt like a primitive shitpost. You trip it out from eating in Dick and Jim's fancy Aspen restaurants, probably from those anchovies, and somehow it's transported you into a strange and unusual world. Your objective is very obvious. Get the heck out of there. After sobering up, in front of me was a drawbridge, but when I attempted to walk over it, I got flashed by a manga shard instead. Yeah, totally not a butt. Walking to the east, I discovered a door that said, "Entrance to the Laundry Ward." Upon entering it, I was greeted by,
Yes, no, maybe.
another door and a huge pop. Trying to open the door was proven to be futile, so I headed back to the bridge to pick up the manga shard. And thanks to that manga shard, it appeared to attach the incredibly bored Indian who summoned the skeptic wizard to aid me. The wizard said that I was in a deep angst from eating at that cursed Aspen restaurant, and the only way to return home was to find a book of stuff, a tome of bad puns and dad jokes. After receiving the information, I headed back to the laundry ward, ready to embark on a trippy adventure. If I could open this stupid door first.
Yes, no, maybe.
Heading around the laundry road and visited a miniature zoo, I came across a crossroad, well, if you can call it that, and upon searching the area, Batman, He-Man, and Superman appeared before my very eyes, and yeah, that happened. Going north, I found a pair of famous bank robbers who gave me a secret word, Matzo Ball. They didn't say that, it just appeared in their dialogue somehow. Saying this didn't seem to do anything, but in front of the superheroes, yeah, it transported me to the space station. Don't ask me, just tag along. I wandered around to grab my sense of bearing back, and most of the places were just brain damage infusing. For example, a dressing room that had a bar, a lip, a wig, and a guy who I assumed that was enjoying himself too much. Vault 2, Vault Harder, now with the free Macintosh, US Department of Defense, and outdoor shower area with a lady showering. She told me to find a toilet for her. There were toilets in front of a museum too, I guess. Okay, let's quickly run this down before it gets more weird. There were more additional items I had gathered along the exploration too. A laser gun that I assumed that was given by a shark. A dead griffin I stopped on in a banquet room. I don't know what that is. An electric catapult that Mary Poppins handed to me. And a trowel from the waterless pond. I headed back to give it to the lady. As for the reward, she gave me 3 coins. For more on my expedition, I got a Ghostbuster course near a group of smoking dinosaurs, a fast horse I shot down with my laser gun, and I got lost for a while until I came across the Hell Monk King, who had lost his crown. Well, another task added to my bucket, and I kid you not, on the east side of his throne room, there was a movie theater showing what I could assume to be a porno, and a goddamn robot that won't let me go.
What the? No! Get out of there! What the shit was that?
After all of that fiesta and being stuck for at least half an hour with sequels, I took a break from this weird ass game. Then I asked myself, deep into my soul, would it be really worth it for me to beat this weird nonsense and borderline sexual of a game? And then I say, probably not. So I shipped it back to where it came from. Sorry guys, but you're not getting black and white news today. Okay, let's pause here before we continue. We need to address the elephant in the room first. In my playthroughs, I usually got stuck many times in searching for the solution to progress, and yet at the end of my pages, I couldn't sync file or read anything that would allow me to progress. Now, before I just say, nah son, you just dumb amount, I need to clarify that these games were still heavily tech-based. Tech-based game relevant to toss you no balls whatsoever, since expected you to be very specific about an action at a very specific location. Using the solution, you control that are based upon thousands possible actions. It's like finding a coin in the sea is probable, but if you're looking for a specific coin that is made of pure platinum and at least 200 years old, you might need luck, buddy. However, I won't stand against being stuck without any clues to work with, so I decided to develop the technique to figure out the solution behind each game when I'm stuck. But now, let's get back to our worlds. You are a squire who seemed to be on the verge of a death row due to an affair. But here's some good news. The king is willingly to spare your life if you get the oracle that was stolen by his court wizard back. And so, you are off. After beating a marshal with nothing but my fist, I dotted his gears and went on my way to a mysterious cave protected by a mysterious force preventing me from entering. Kicking on the skull seemed to disable the force, which allowed me to enter the cave. What was inside the cave? A monster, of course, and I died because it was too strong. So I decided to fall back and jump down the hole instead. Down there, I took some carrots and added them, which gave me strength and that 20/20 clear vision. Thanks to the vitamin A from the carrots, I saw the secret door and acquired the totally youthful gears in which I had no idea what they did whatsoever. Then I jumped back up and showed that starved Bugs Bunny looked like who was the real boss. Then I continued it by taking a passage inside the book because why not? And look at that. The evil castle. I bet some workshop probably live inside there. Going north led me to a small village. I stole an urn for some Wilson and got kicked out of the bar for trying to get a drink, but I was too poor. Going further north, I took a boat, then arrived at the evil castle. Then, oh no, an evil wizard was trying to... Oh, he's gone. And the door was locked, of course. I spent some time figuring out how to continue because I got stuck again. The only interesting thing in that moment was a check on the east of where I arrived. It was locked and I didn't have any keys to open it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The owner of that shack was kind enough to give me the key to the castle. Why did he have it? Probably a keeper. I used that key to open the castle door and began my rescue operation. Going through the west side, then up in a tower, I found a Macintosh that was shattered down for some reason. Oh, wait, that was the oracle? I thought it was a person. Didn't matter. I needed to figure out how to free it so I could save my own butt. In the living room near the downstairs, I discovered a chute to the dungeon under a sofa. But don't go down there yet, unless you want to die like a moron. Due to that, the best course of action was to explore more of the castle. I took a torch, found a shovel, grabbed the turkey bastard, and stole a high quarter for some reason. Then I went down to the dungeon, and let me tell you, it was hellish to navigate. Exploring deeper into the dungeon, I discovered a cozy torture chamber. And cozy prisoner cells too. What kind of horrible prisoner were inside those cells? A turkey. Just a single turkey. It also adopted a wishbone when defeated too. Now, keep this item in mind because it was very important. Moving to the guard bunkhouse, I found a strange substance under the bed. And then, I don't know why, but I decided to walk into a cell room and got myself locked like an idiot. What was I shattered with? Drunk abuse and being stupid. Then I died from withdrawal. Just kidding, I didn't die from being stuck in jail. I actually died from encountering a freaking dragon. And my character was also dumb enough not to run away from it. After being resurrected by the power of Seth's coming, I wandered around to figure out how to continue. Then I just remembered the existence of that wizard. With Seal guidance, I thought the only way to finish this was to kill that wizard and hope he might have something I can use to feed the oracle. And so it began, the most epic battle in the history of Macintosh gaming. That wizard was proven to be quite a challenge. He kept disappearing and appearing like a little pussy, but I was more mentally challenged than him. Wait, that didn't come out right. After a fierce battle, I came out victorious from a queen's wing that cut the wizard into 2 pieces, and my rewards were a crown and a crystal ball, which were completely useless since I couldn't do anything with them, and then I continued it, wandering around again to figure out how to continue this quest. And after like half an hour of searching, my own Peter had screwed me once again. So apparently on the west tower, second floor, there were more rooms on the east that I didn't explore until then. What were those rooms? Well, there was a living room, a totally not suspicious lab, and a hacker room where an ape lived. But a particularly interesting room was the pentagram room. Taking the diamond on the floor seemed to anger the demon, and it was too strong. Too damn strong for me to beat normally, and so all hope was lost. Well, it was until I decided to use the technique, and oh boy. So, how do you supposed to beat this game properly? Well, remember that wishbone we got earlier? Yeah, you were supposed to use it to banish the demon back to its past. After that, it would drop you a screwdriver you could use to free the oracle. So, where did it go then? Simple. I wasted that wishbone when I was fighting against the wizard, because I didn't know any better, okay? And since I was too demotivated to repair the entire thing, I'm just gonna summarize what would happen if I wanted to beat this game properly. After you free the oracle, you are supposed to go back to the front of the collapsed cave, go to the west and use the shovel to dig a hole there because you are supposed to do that, which will lead you back to the castle. Then give back the oracle to the king and you are done. Oh no, King Eidisi I has been kidnapped by an evil imposter? That's not good. People of Matari, I will make sure he's back in one piece or two. I'm doing this for free, so don't expect much. Onward beyond the gate door, I decided to explore a tiny forest in hope of finding some equipment and info I could use. Moving to the west, I found a small hut that had a gypsy woman who offered me an amulet. Okay. Inside there were some health potions, so I took them too. Exploring deeper, I found a shield in tall grass and a cemetery where I couldn't root anything. Coward. Out of the forest and moving onwards toward the south, I found a cave system that was dug in to make a shelter, I assume. Inside the cave, I encountered an unfriendly guard, which I made quick work of by giving him a knuckle sandwich. Continuing through the hall, there was a library with a librarian who told me to take the book on the floor, then open to page 241. Doing so yielded me the code, Memta. I didn't know what it was for, but I knew this place has a lot of secrets, I guess. I also took the statue too, just because I can. Moving further, I found a chapel and a Christian missionary. He offered me a Bible, which I gladly accepted. I also grabbed a fish from the kitchen because I was hungry, and just out of the cave, I discovered a plastic card on the ground? Wait, I thought this was supposed to sit in the medieval era. Going further, I found a cottage with an airlock system which I opened it using the plastic card. Inside it had nothing but a single bottle. I guess sometimes you need a quiet place to drown in your own sorrow. I picked up a herb along the way before continuing towards the storm path. Going along the path, I ended up at Riverside West. Too bad the bridge to the east was destroyed. But that wasn't the problem. With the power of the Bible, I could walk on the water just fine. Oh crap, a sea serpent! And it looked like she was going to eat me. Oh, wait, I killed her 2 times and she died. I don't think I have any more questions on why the people chose me. Wait a minute, that was she? Getting back on the land, I continued towards the north, which led me to the east town. I took a bit inside a shack, stole a ladder, and moved toward the east to see more things. In the south, I found a building that seemed to be a shop for vending knives. Cool. Obviously, I didn't have any coins with me, so I had to back out. Continuing towards the east led me to the palace, which was where the imposter was. Okay, what the hell was that sentence? Unfortunately, I couldn't get in easily due to the door guard, which so somewhat and somehow this dog guard was really tough, and this was where I got stuck. He was literally a wall. No matter how hard I kicked him or punched him, it didn't even make any dent on him. I even tried to distract him with the amulet, but that didn't seem to work. So I was stuck there again, and assuming if it was intentional to make him tough, how was I supposed to continue? Call a number and ask for a hint? No. I used my technique, and here's how it went. First, how do you get coins? Well, they were underneath this floorboard inside that shack. After that, I went straight to get a knife from the vending machine. Too bad it wasn't used as a weapon, and I was a little bit disappointed. Second, when I addressed the word Memta, what was it for? Well, it was a secret word. Saying it in the library revealed a secret room behind a bookshelf. Inside that room, it had a lamp and a writing on the wall that said,
"And the truth shall be known."
Okay, whatever you said. Third, how do you deal with a dog guard? To deal with him, you needed to give him something special. Since I got a bottle from that ale cottage, I headed back to the wine cellar in the cave, filled it with wine, then walked all the way back to the palace and brought him using it. How was I supposed to know he was a dirty, alcoholic, study son of a bitch? There was no clue. After Barbara the God, the palace was finally accessible. Too bad I couldn't go straight to the center due to being blocked by a force field. How original. Going through the private hallways, I searched for items and maybe some clues to progress. One of the important things I found was a floor pan that described some sort of a security system which could be shut down by pressing unknown buttons at an unknown place. And a liniment, probably a misspell of liniment from the lab. Mixing it with the herb yielded me a grey mixture. By the way, this item was really important. If you used it without a good reason, you want to be able to complete the game. I also found a strange room with a plastic pad on the floor. I had no idea what to do with it, so I left it as it was. Going down further, I discovered a dark dungeon, riddled with scary tough foes such as the wizard, the tall fax, I have no idea what that is, the giant ant, and the mad scientist. All of them were defeated easily by kicking the living crap out of them. Jeez, how tough the dog guard really was. And from defeating all of the enemies in the dungeon, that force field was finally no more, which allowed me to access the throne room. And here he was, Richard the Back. I hope he has life insurance, because even God would not save him for me. Finally, the evil has been defeated. Now to free the key. Oh, okay, not cool, dude, not cool. It took a day I forgot about the floor pan that said something about security. So, to continue this, I had to either find a remote device to turn it off, or that I had to find a button somewhere in the palace. Oh, pukes. I searched it everywhere through the palace from top to bottom, and it seemed that there were no secret buttons anywhere. So I used my technique again and found the solution. All I had to do was go back to that library again, get in that secret room behind the bookshelf, then push the wall to access the secret control room. What? Were you for real now? Who the hell could ever figure that out? Anyway, there was a control panel. The white button started the alarm. The red button opened an opening on the ceiling. And using the ladder I stole, it turned out it led to the secret palace basement. The blue and green buttons didn't do anything. And finally, the yellow button disabled the electrical security. Alright, let's go back to the throne room to find that king. And there he was, King Eidisi the First, on the wall, tied by a rope, and looked like he had seen a better day. Using a knife to cut the rope, I managed to... any second now. Using the technique again, I managed to get him feed by typing in cut rope with knife, then offer grain mixture. I told you the grain mixture was important, and the quest to rescue him was finally done. The king sent me for my bravery. I mean, he better was, or else I might seize the throne to myself. It also turned out we shot back the imposter was actually his brother all along. Wow, what a twist! So after all of that, I was actually solving the family issues. Oh, brother. So, what do you think? Even though they were pretty ancient when compared to what we have today, which is really obvious because these games are over 30 years old, an extent of creativity could be seen in those games. Graphics, story, digitalized audio, and whatever the solutions or puzzles were, they all certainly had their own stories they wanted to be told. However, they were not without faults, and still suffering from tech-based genre problems, but at least they were somewhat enjoyable, given that you didn't get stuck somewhere. Anyway, there are still more world builder games in my backlog, so if this video does well enough, I might magically put together another one. And of course, as always, thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe if you want to. See ya!